In November of 1975, the largest ship on North America's Great Lakes vanished without a single distress call. No survivors. No final explanation. Just a name whispered across Lake Superior for the next 50 years. The SS Edmund Fitzgerald. Lake Superior does not forgive mistakes. It is cold, black, endless. And when storms rise here, even modern ships turn away. But on the night of November 10, 1975, the Fitzgerald sailed directly into one of the deadliest storms ever recorded on the Great Lakes. A 729-foot giant carrying iron ore through freezing hurricane-force winds. Then suddenly, silence. The radar contact disappeared. The crew of 29 men vanished with it. No mayday, no warning, nothing. For decades, the wreck rested nearly 160 meters below the surface. Broken in two, hidden in darkness, untouched by sunlight, untouched by time. Until now. Because what you're about to witness is something nobody ever believed possible. A full recovery operation. Not just a survey, not just an expedition, but the impossible attempt to raise the Edmund Fitzgerald from the bottom of Lake Superior. And the deeper they go, the stranger this story becomes. At first, the lake reveals almost nothing. Only darkness. Cold freshwater pressing against steel that hasn't moved since 1975. Then suddenly, the floodlights hit something. A wall of steel emerges from the black water. Massive, silent, still. The bow section appears upside down, half buried beneath decades of sediment. The hull is torn open like paper and scattered across the lakebed. Pieces of the ship lie everywhere. Hatch covers, machinery, twisted steel, fragments frozen in the exact position where the vessel died. The ROV cameras move slowly across the wreckage. No divers are allowed this deep. Only machines, only cameras, only silence. And then, the fracture zone, the exact place where the ship broke apart. The steel isn't bent. It's shredded, folded outward with impossible force, as if the lake itself tore the vessel in half. Even after 50 years underwater, the damage still looks violent. Freshwater corrosion covers every surface. Sediment drifts through the broken hull like smoke. And for the first time, engineers begin asking a terrifying question. What exactly happened down here? Because despite decades of investigation, nobody fully agrees on why the Fitzgerald sank. Was it rogue waves? Structural failure? Cargo loading? Bottom impact? Or something far worse hidden inside the storm itself? The cameras continue deeper into the debris field. 170 meters of scattered wreckage between the bow and stern. Every meter tells a different story. And then, the stern appears. Still upright. Still recognizable. The propeller remains attached. Huge. Corroded. Frozen in place after half a century underwater. It feels less like a shipwreck, and more like a grave. But this time, the mission is not observation. The mission is recovery. On the surface, the operation begins. Massive survey ships drift silently above the wreck site. Workers move carefully across steel decks under gray Lake Superior skies. Cable drums begin turning. ROVs are lowered into the water. And slowly, the descent begins. The deeper the machines travel, the darker everything becomes. At 160 meters, sunlight disappears completely. Only artificial floodlights remain. Then, the wreck emerges beneath them again. Silent. Waiting. Engineers spent months identifying structural lift points strong enough to survive the recovery. Because one wrong connection, and the entire hull could collapse during ascent. The first cables descend toward the stern section. Massive steel lines thicker than a man's arm. ROV manipulators guide them into place with millimeter precision. No room for error. No second attempt. Then the spreader frames arrive. Huge steel support structures lowered carefully through the black water. Hydraulic anchor bolts lock into reinforced sections of the hull. Sediment explodes upward around the connection points. And finally, the moment nobody thought would ever happen. Tension begins. On the surface, winch drums rotate slowly. Engineers stare at pressure gauges. Nobody speaks. Below, the cables pull tight. Sediment trembles beneath the keel. Tiny vibrations ripple across the lakebed. Then suddenly, movement. After 50 years underwater, the Edmund Fitzgerald lifts from the bottom of Lake Superior for the very first time. Only 30 centimeters at first, but it's enough. Massive clouds of sediment burst from beneath the hull. The ship rises slowly into open water. Still intact, still holding. The lakebed below reveals the outline where the vessel rested for half a century. An imprint frozen in mud, like the ghost of the ship itself. The ascent takes hours. At 80 meters depth, surface light begins filtering down through the water. The wreck hangs suspended in darkness between the lakebed and the world above. And then, the surface breaks. First, the propeller emerges, black water cascading from corroded blades. Then the stern rises fully into daylight. For the first time since 1975, the Edmund Fitzgerald sees the sky again. Workers stop moving. Nobody talks. Because no matter how advanced the operation becomes, everyone understands what they are looking at. This is not just steel. This is history. The second recovery is even more difficult. The bow section is upside down. Every lift point must compensate for the inverted hull. Again, cables descend. Again, the lake fights back. But eventually, the bow rises too. Two halves of a lost giant suspended above Lake Superior. Broken, corroded, but no longer forgotten. From there, the impossible grows even larger. The ship is transported to dry dock. Workers surround both sections with scaffolding stretching hundreds of feet into the air. Pressure blasting removes 50 years of sediment. The true damage finally becomes visible. The fracture zone is catastrophic. Entire internal frames destroyed. Steel thickness reduced by decades underwater. Some sections crumbled during inspection. Others somehow survived. Engineers mark damaged areas with paint. Cutting torches begin removing destroyed steel. New frames are fabricated. New plates welded into place. Slowly, the ship begins changing. Not into a wreck, but into a vessel again. Then comes the moment everything has been leading toward. The reunion. Hydraulic systems move the bow section centimeter by centimeter toward the stern. Laser alignment systems guide the approach. Thousands of measurements. Hundreds of workers. Years of preparation. Until finally, the two halves touch. For the first time since the storm, the Edmund Fitzgerald becomes whole again. Welders work around the clock, sealing the joining seam. Sparks illuminate the dry dock like lightning. Ultrasonic scans test every weld, every frame, every plate. And eventually, the impossible stands complete. A fully restored Fitzgerald. Painted, rebuilt, alive again. Then the dock floods. Water rises slowly around the hull. Workers watch silently from above. The ship floats free, level, stable, as if the lake never took it at all. And finally, under gray skies, the engines start. For the first time in 50 years, the propeller turns under power. The Fitzgerald moves forward. Its bow cuts through the same waters that once swallowed it whole. No ceremony, no music, only the sound of steel moving through water once again. The ship returns to Lake Superior, past the Sioux Locks, back into open water, back toward the coordinates where it vanished. The same lake, the same horizon, the same cold wind. And as the vessel crosses above the place where it rested for half a century, the cameras pull higher, 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 until the Fitzgerald becomes only a tiny moving shape against the endless surface of Lake Superior. The lake stretches forever in every direction. Silent, ancient, unforgiving. But this time, the ship keeps moving. Forward, into the distance, into history. Fade out.